Welcome to God's 5 Minutes with Pastor Ed Wilson. Reach him at gods5minutes@gmail.com. Now, here's Ed Wilson with God's 5 Minutes.
Hello, friends. 17th chapter of Jeremiah contains these verses. Thus saith the Lord, Cursed be the man that trusteth in man, and maketh flesh his arm, and whose heart departeth from the Lord. For he shall be like the heath in the desert, and shall not see when good cometh, but shall inhabit the parched places in the wilderness, in a salt land, and not inhabited. Blessed is the man that trusteth in the Lord, and whose hope the Lord is. For he shall be as a tree planted by the waters, and that spreadeth her roots by the river, and shall not see when heat cometh, but her leaves shall be green, and shall not be careful in the year of drought, neither shall cease from yielding fruit. With these verses, the prophet has taken up his brushes and painted the canvas on his easel with two very different pictures. In one, the hot, parched desert stretches an only barren, dusty wasteland on every side. Everything is scorched beneath the pitiless sun. No living creature breaks the solitary melancholy. The other shows a brimming river, sparkling and rippling within its banks, while bordering trees dip their boughs in the living current and thrust their roots deeply into the damp, fertile soil. Grasses and flowers line the banks, and birds and animals find shade and water in the flow. So, says Jeremiah, the two pictures represent two classes of people. The one, he who diverts from their true object, his heart capacities of love and trust, and clings to the pleasures rather of earth and the follies of human capability, making flesh his arm and departing from the living God. The other, he who leans the whole weight of his needs and cares and sins and sorrows upon God. In this life we are living, each of us must choose which shall be the object of our trust, and our lives are going to be either one or the other of his paintings, according to the choice we make. Underneath the pictures is a message that a person can change his habitat. A tree is an immobile plant, but the blind man said, though in another context, I see men as trees. Trees, yes, but trees walking. We can walk and move away from damaging, unhealthy spiritual environment in our spirits to settle for ourselves from whence we shall draw our soul's wet supply of inspiration, confidence, and security. The poor little dusty cactus in the desert, whose very leaves have been fashioned as thorns, is fit for the parched places. But a person who makes that fatal choice, which so many have and do, there are spiritual graces meant for his inner development that will never be anything more than a sharp-pointed mockery of the person he was meant to be. The dry soil of this sin-cursed world cannot provide the moisture and nutrients a healthy vine must have to bring forth grapes, only stickers. The very make of a person's soul points to God as a natural habitat in which it can flourish and develop. You, I, the poorest and least educated, or the richest and most talented, male, female, any race or any age, will never be right, never feel that we are in a native soil, watered and fertilized, with encroaching plants weeded out, and our branches properly pruned and trained, until we've laid our hearts and hands on the breast of God and rested ourselves on Him. Gills and fins prove on a creature that it was meant for the water. Wings and feathers speak of a creature that can soar through the air. Just so the shape of our hearts is such that there is a godlike vacancy in every one of them, and none are ever complete until the Lord has taken up his dwelling there. Part of the text declares that those who choose the desert path shall not see when good cometh. What horror to have God or life or the tricks of the devil so conceal the very things necessary for a soul to meet God in peace that they can't be found. But of the other path, the promise is he shall not see when heat cometh. Here once more is a towering truth that has enabled the martyrs and faithful Christians through the centuries to face the unfaceable, endure the unendurable, keep heavenly peace against all that life could explain. Try as we will to explain, it can only be known by experience, the beautiful, peaceful experience of having living waters flowing in one's inmost soul. Have you talked to God today?
You have been listening to God's 5 Minutes with Pastor Ed Wilson. Reach him by email at godsfive-minutes@gmail.com. Tune in next time to hear more encouraging thoughts from God's Word on God's 5 Minutes with Pastor Ed Wilson.
If you live within the broadcast area of KNEO Radio, we have a podcast just for you. The KNEO Community Connection keeps your finger on the pulse of what's coming up in the four-state area, telling you about upcoming events you don't want to miss, organizations in our communities doing great work, and conversations with the dynamic citizens who are behind it all. There's a lot going on around you that you don't want to miss. This is Luke Taylor. Join me each week as we talk about what's happening with the people who are making it happen. Brought to you by KNEO Radio 91.7 FM and the Sky High Podcast Network. Subscribe today wherever you get your podcasts.